That's a dope
Thank
hat.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking with me. You've been gone for 7 years. You had a mental health break, not break, sorry, a mental health break in terms of breaking away, finding yourself, and coming back now or returning to the comedy field. I wanted to know within that 7 years, what one did you find out about yourself that really made you want to go back into the comedy realm? Because this isn't anything new for you.
Yeah. You know what it is? I just lived. It's funny because Julia Roberts Eat, Pray, Love. You know what I mean? That movie where you could just eat, pray, and love. That's kind of what I was doing. You know what I mean? Finding things about our culture as who we are as Black people, and understanding, going back and going to this different Egypt, Ethiopia, just really like learning about culture, in general,
Mhm.
going to Europe, going to different places. And it's like, sometimes you have to live and learn, and raising my children. I mean, it was amazing doing philanthropy, um, learning the problems of certain communities, underserved communities, and learning how to solve problems, and having technology and different things that can work to solve community issues. And these are the things that I was doing, and I snapped back, and I was like, you know what? Um, I got something to talk about. I got a lot to talk about, and my art is always in my life. It was always first, but it became secondary once I started to grow as a man, and learn. Okay, I need to be a man before I hit the stage. I need to have some experiences, because a lot of people, my projected image is probably like what, 28, maybe, like, when you guys were seeing me, I was probably like around. I mean, I would go from 17 to 25 or whatever. And then it's probably the movie I did with Megan Good, Love by the 10th Date. I was probably in my 28, 27. It's probably one of the last movies I was seeing them before the one that I just finished, called I'm Beginning to See the Light. I needed to grow as a person. So, you know, it definitely taking that break just to have a what's the word I'm looking for? To have that health and wealth and prosperity spiritually, mentally, and physically. I think that was the major goal. And then go
Right.
back and do your art.
So, what do you feel at that time was the greatest lesson you learned that you now can apply and maybe even joke about now?
I did joke about it. um my art my art is an extension of who I am,
Mhm.
and the lessons I learned, I'm able to put it in my art. I think that was one of the greatest things. I think when balance is the key to everything. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, that balance is the key. If you want to, say things, God gives you gifts for you to be able to say them, and these gifts are given to you, and you got to be a good steward over every gift that's given to you, your family, your life, your health, everything. So I learned the stewardship, and I'm still learning being a great steward of the talents and the things that God has given me. And that's what I've been on. I mean, that was the biggest lesson I learned, to be a great steward of everything around. And I'm not saying I'm fully there yet.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes I don't get a lot of sleep. Sometimes I'm up. Sometimes I don't do the best as a father with taking care of the children the best I can, if my wife needs help or this and that. So I'm still a work in progress. You know what I mean? But I think the greatest lesson I learned was stewardship. You
Mhm.
know, how to steward the gifts you were given.
You had your first show 1 month ago. I was wondering how did that go in terms of the nerves and making sure that everything was prepared and right. And also, with that being again a long time on stage, I was wondering how do you apply that experience, or because it's over with, you don't apply that experience come the future shows.
Yeah, you mean in my material?
Yes.
Oh, I just, just, I just talk about, I don't know, I just talk about things I went through. I talk about just life. Like, I think so I'm about to do a stand-up special in a world tour called Still Detroit, right?
Mhm.
Still Detroit is about where I'm from. I think people, what they do, they look at my characters, and it's fun, but it's kind of annoying. They look at my characters and they think that that's who you really are, which is great as an actor. But as a
Mhm.
person, when you're a stand-up, you're able to tell who you are and your story and what you've gone through and the things that you've done. And people, you're able to express all these things from your past, from your future, that's coming, or your present. And Still Detroit is a nostalgia, a backstory, so people can understand my brand, who I am as Brandon T. Jackson. That's more what we're doing with that. So the experiences I'm dealing with now is that comedy special is called Dramedy.
Mhm.
I'm a dramedy star. So I realized that my drama I have in my life, I turn into comedy. So all the stuff I've dealt with um debating people in certain spiritual sects, talking to different people over here, and learning, trying to put all the truth together, being a truth seeker and trying to learn, okay, where did this come from? What is the Emerald Tablets? What is this? What the world will call so-called woke, like whatever you want to call that. I don't like that term, but because it's like that's based on whatever that means. Everyone's has a different perspective of that. But I'm saying, as it pertains to me, I'm able to make fun of this journey. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And 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 that's what the great thing about. I'm really excited about Dramedy. Still Detroit is good. It's in a pocket to show y'all, okay, this boy or this man, I'm not a boy. I see where he's from. I get why he's like that. Okay, now let me take them on a journey with Dramedy. So
Right.
Dramedy is fun. That's gonna be fun.
So with dramedy, I was wondering, what would you say would has been the biggest misconceptions that you really wanted people to say, this is the real me? This is not what you thought of or read about
I
before.
think people really think that I'm. I don't know. I get this whole thing like, where's Bow Wow at? With a
Mm,
lot of people,
mm,
and I don't know what that means. I don't know, mentally. People think that I'm like, not saying I'm not Bow Wow's friend, but I'm a whole husband out here. I'm like, I got 4 kids. Like I got a house. Like I'm like, I as you can hear, the lawnmowers in the back. Like, I think it's a misconception of my characters, which I'm not mad at. I think it gets annoying a little bit where people, okay, I gotta explain them who I am. Let me tell you, I'm a son of a preacher man, family of 8, 9, well, no, 9 kids, well, including as all of us 9, but 8 besides me. I grew up in the hood in the suburbs. I, my dad is a dignitary, a very and my parents are they own a network. I come from, I'm not accepted sometimes in the white neighborhoods. I'm not accepted in the black neighborhoods. I'm too rich for the black people sometimes, and I'm too poor for the white folks, or the whole, or too. You know what I'm saying? It's like
mm.
that dichotomy is how I grew up. I grew up playing hockey and basketball. People don't know that about me. I grew up on both sides of the tracks evenly. You know what I mean? My credit score might be 800, and another week it might be a 6. That's kind of funny. I might have write that
Write it down.
down. That's funny. But yeah, that's who I am. So explaining who I am, and I'm a father of 4, and my parents, I grew up with a father, a baby boomer father, who's a conservative man, and my parents are relatively conservative, and I went out to Hollywood, and which is a more I would say liberal place, and the dichotomy is what make me funny, so
Right.
it's good times.
Do you view Detroit as a sequel to the still sorry, do you view dramedy as a
Still
sequel to
Detroit,
Still
no.
Detroit?
Dramedy is the sequel to Still Detroit, yes.
Okay. So would you say that through this comedy, it helps you with your elevation and your growth?
Comedy is just something I love to do. I always loved comedy. I've never, like you said, it's not new to me. I just every time I want to do a movie, every time I do a stand-up comedy special, my agent would pull me in the movie. And I wouldn't turn down the movie because, I mean, why would you? So it was always a fight because my next movie I got coming out is a drama. And I'm putting these dramas out, it's like people was like, he's an actor, but it's like, wait a minute, have you seen him? He's hilarious on stage. So it's people sometimes can't see that you could be a Michael B. Jordan and Eddie Murphy. They can't see that now, because usually if you're just an Eddie or a comic rock star, you're not able to have a range of acting like a Michael or like a dramatic actor. But that's just a gift God gave me. I'm able to swing. That's why I call it dramedy too, because I have both sides of the coin. I could do drama just like, and I think Jamie Foxx is the only other comic I've seen that can really, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Jamie can make you cry and he can make you laugh and he can sing. It's like I kind of have those same gifts where I'm able to do a drama and do a comedy. I just can do that. I was blessed with those gifts, and I'm not trying to brag, but it's just the truth. My next movie, I'm crying all over, and the other movie I'm doing, I'm making people laugh. So it's like it's one of those things where I just follow where God gives me. But stand up is something I'm able to express who I am and the story I'm telling, and it's challenging. Because like Jerry Seinfeld said, we're tortured every day with material, every day, every day. Like we're tortured to find what's funny, and you got to kind of pick your torture. But it's beautiful because being in solidarity with the strike and being able to have a live performance side is a blessing. It's a blessing, and if any actors want to come through and they want to have a good time, like we're here because we're standing together in this strike.
And lastly, I was wondering, do you feel that the comedy fuels the acting or vice versa? It allows you to be who you are, but at the same time, you're able to be who other people want within those roles by knowing who you are yourself.
I'm able to make up people are able to see the characters that I grew up with in my stand-up. My Uncle Donut, my father, my mother, the impressions that I do at my home, my sister Chantel. I actually got to write something about her. No, because she always got a different business every week. I used to make fun of her. She's one of those sisters that if you grew up if you ever grew up in a Black church, there's a person, there's a preacher, and there's a person that echoes what the preacher say, like an ad lib. My sister and my aunt was the echo. They echoed my dad. You know what I mean? So if he said, you know what I mean, still echo my dad. It happened today. When I went back home for my dad's 70th birthday, and I was listening like, yo, this is material, because we the only people that got hype men. Black churches got hype men in the audience. And I just saw it yesterday. I'm like, why is she trying to outpreach my dad? Like, amen, tell him, pastor. It's like, yo, but you go to like a Catholic church, you don't hear none of that. So it's just funny to watch the different cultures, and because I grew up in a heavy spiritual household where my life was school, church, home, extracurricular activities, school, church, home. That's what it was. So it's just how I grew up, you know what I mean? So it's like watching these characters in this community and all the people in, your grandma and your grandfather, and just looking at, that's who I am. I'm not like Robert Downey Jr.'s guy that's mad at him for being in blackface. You know what I mean? I'm not Bow Wow's friend. I'm none of these people, but these are great characters. But I think people, when they see you, you almost like, you want to know about, I want them to know about who I am too. So like, I know about Kevin Hart. I know he did a great job with telling people about who he is, his branding and his fears and this. And I love the fact that he has that expression in comedy. You know, you don't know about a lot of actors that they kind of want that mystery. But as a comedian, you want people to know about what you go through because that's what you make funny. Like a sanctuary.
Right. So thank you so much for speaking to me. I look forward to all of your work.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm hoping I wasn't too long-winded. Sometimes I go into my own you know, it's funny when people spark a thought, I start to go into that thought. So I have my wife was telling me that like you need to like boom, 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 like stick to the subject because I'll go into a whole drama act monologue. Okay. So I appreciate you. And where are you based out of?
I'm in New York City.
Are you in New York?
Yes.
I'm trying to play New York. New York is amazing. I love New York. New York is they that's where I got funny. I was shooting real quick. I was shooting Deadbeat and a show called Deadbeat on Hulu at the time, and I would never forget. Like after set, I would go right to the comedy clubs and just ride out. And I was at every comedy club every night. That was a very pivotal point in my life with stand up, where I would just like after they yell cut, I'm back in LA. I mean, back at the hotel apartment, right out to the Village, at the Cellar, these other comedy clubs is just doing time. Pete Davis and all them was in there. I'm like, all these people that I've seen just working their material, they're all doing very well now. So if you stay at it, then you know.
You've excelled as well. You're blessed as well.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh yeah, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm saying watching us all in
Right.
those clubs, like you look up and say, wait a minute, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So good times. Nice meeting you. Is it
Thank
Dana
you.
or Dana?
Dana.
Dana. Okay, Dana. Dana Abercrombie.
Abercrombie, like the store.
That's your real name, Abercrombie?
Government name. Yep.
Wow, that's a beautiful name. That's dope.
Thank you.
Dope. Nice meeting you and such a pleasure. Hopefully, if I come to LA, I can invite you out to New York, I can invite you out to one of my shows.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Let me see.